Welcome back to Myth and Facts. Today, we dive into one of Marvel's darkest and most mysterious heroes, Blade. Long before superheroes dominated the big screen, Blade was already slaying vampires and carving his place in pop culture. But who really is Blade, and what is myth versus fact about the Daywalker? Let's explore. Blade's real name is Eric Brooks. He first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1973 in Tomb of Dracula No. 10. His origin is tragic yet fascinating. His mother was attacked by a vampire while giving birth, which transferred supernatural enzymes into his body. This made Blade immune to vampiric bites and gave him certain enhanced abilities. Many people think Blade is a full vampire, but that's actually a myth. The truth is that he is a unique hybrid, part human, part vampire, known as the Daywalker. This balance allows him to walk in sunlight, a deadly weakness for most vampires. One fact that is often overlooked is that Blade did not originally possess all the superhuman powers we see today. In his earliest comic appearances, Blade relied mostly on his strength, speed, and mastery of wooden weapons. His abilities grew over time as Marvel writers expanded his mythology. Some fans mistakenly believe Blade was born with his full powers, but that's not true. His skills evolved with time, and at one point he even gained immunity to most supernatural effects. When people hear Blade, they immediately think of Wesley Snipes. The Blade trilogy from 1998 to 2004 redefined superhero cinema. The first Blade film is often credited with helping pave the way for the modern comic book movie boom, years before Spider-Man or the MCU. However, a myth persists that Blade was Marvel's first movie character. That's not entirely correct. Earlier Marvel adaptations existed, like Howard the Duck in 1986 and Punisher in 1989. But Blade was indeed the first successful R-rated Marvel superhero film that gained mainstream recognition. Another common misconception is that Blade is just a vampire hunter and nothing more. In reality, Blade's story is deeply tied to the darker, mystical side of Marvel. He has teamed up with Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, and even the Avengers in certain comic runs. This proves that Blade is not just a loner operating in the shadows, he's part of a larger supernatural world within Marvel. The weapons Blade uses are iconic, especially his silver sword. Many myths surround this weapon. Some believe it's magical or forged from an ancient relic. The fact is, Blade's sword is usually portrayed as a finely crafted silver weapon, deadly to vampires. His arsenal also includes silver stakes, throwing knives, and firearms equipped with UV light bullets. While some depictions add mystical elements, the truth is that Blade relies heavily on science, strategy, and relentless combat training. Before we move toward Blade's entry into the MCU, it's important to remember how influential the character already is. Blade was one of the first black superheroes to lead a major Hollywood franchise, making him a groundbreaking figure. The myth that Blade was a secondary or side character is false. In truth, Blade has been central to Marvel's horror storytelling for decades. Now that we understand Blade's origins and history, let's move into his place within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Daywalker has not yet appeared on screen, but his presence has already been teased in subtle and mysterious ways. Many fans missed it, but Blade actually made his first MCU appearance in Eternals, not visually, but through his voice. In the post-credits scene, Dane Whitman discovers the ebony blade, and just as he's about to pick it up, a voice asks him, "Are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?" That voice, confirmed by the film's director, was Mahershala Ali as Blade. This tiny detail opens the door to huge possibilities. One of the biggest myths that circulated after this cameo was that Blade now wields the ebony blade. That is not true. The ebony blade belongs to Dane Whitman, also known as the Black Knight. Blade is known for his silver sword and anti-vampire weapons, not a cursed magical blade. But the fact that Blade's voice was tied to that moment shows Marvel is connecting him to the supernatural corner of the MCU. Fans have speculated heavily about who Blade might face in his first solo MCU outing. Some rumors point toward Dracula, Marvel's most famous vampire villain. Others suggest Lilith, the mother of all demons, could play a part. but until Marvel confirms, these remain theories. The fact is that Blade has a vast rogues gallery, including Deacon Frost, who appeared in the 1998 film, and many other vampire lords from Marvel Comics. There's also a myth that Blade will simply retell the same story we've already seen in the Wesley Snipes movies. That is unlikely. The MCU tends to reimagine characters with fresh perspectives. Blade's origin may be referenced, but Marvel is more interested in expanding his role into a shared universe. This means Blade could join forces with characters like Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, and Doctor Strange, creating a supernatural team many fans know as the Midnight Suns. Some fans believe Blade will be toned down for a family-friendly audience. This is also a myth. Current reports suggest that Blade, like Deadpool and Wolverine, will likely carry an R rating. Marvel understands that Blade is a darker character, and softening him too much could hurt his legacy. The truth is, Blade works best when his stories embrace horror, blood, and gothic atmosphere. A major fact worth noting is the struggle the Blade project has faced behind the scenes. The movie has changed directors and writers multiple times. At one point, it was scheduled for release in 2025, but delays pushed it further back. Some fans believe this means Marvel has abandoned the project. That's not the case. Kevin Feige has confirmed that Blade is still part of Marvel's Phase 6. The delays come from Marvel wanting to get the story and tone exactly right. Another fascinating aspect is how Blade fits into the wider MCU timeline. With supernatural elements becoming more common, such as the Darkhold in WandaVision, Werewolf by Night, and even hints of vampires in Loki, it's clear Marvel is laying the foundation for Blade's arrival. The myth that Blade will be a one-off character is false. Marvel is investing in him as a long-term player in their supernatural universe. So, what do we know for sure? Blade is in the MCU, Mahershala Ali is the confirmed actor, and his story will likely dive into vampires and dark magic. We also know that he's already connected to Black Knight, and possibly to Doctor Strange. The myths that Blade is using the Ebony Blade, that his story is abandoned, or that his movie will be family-friendly, are all false. The facts point to a bold, darker chapter for the MCU, one that could rival the cosmic and multiversal storylines we've seen so far. Now we arrive at the final stage of our Blade journey, separating the myths from the facts about his powers, his weaknesses, and his role as the Daywalker in both comics and the upcoming MCU. Let's start with his abilities. A common myth is that Blade is as powerful as a full vampire, with no drawbacks. The truth is more nuanced. Blade does share many vampiric traits, including superhuman strength, heightened agility, accelerated healing, and enhanced senses like night vision and smell. But he is not indestructible. He can be injured by conventional weapons, and while he heals faster than humans, he doesn't regenerate limbs like Wolverine or Deadpool. His healing factor gives him resilience, but not immortality. Another fact is that Blade has all of a vampire's strengths, but almost none of their weaknesses. He's immune to sunlight, garlic, silver, and holy symbols, the very things that destroy normal vampires. This is why he is called the Daywalker. However, a lesser-known fact is that Blade still struggles with a vampire's thirst for blood. Depending on the comic version, he must take a serum to suppress his bloodlust. Some fans mistakenly believe Blade has no connection to vampiric hunger, but that's a myth. His humanity is constantly tested by this hidden weakness, making him a much more complex character. Weapons are another big part of Blade's mythos. Many fans assume his sword is magical or indestructible. In reality, his silver katana is just expertly forged to kill vampires. Blade's arsenal is filled with weapons designed around vampire weaknesses: silver bullets, garlic injectors, UV light grenades, and wooden stakes. There's no magic to these weapons, it's science, strategy, and relentless preparation. The myth of mystical weaponry makes Blade sound like a sorcerer, but the fact is, he's more of a tactical soldier in a supernatural war. Team-ups are another area filled with myths. Some believe Blade always works alone, a lone hunter of the night. But the truth is he has fought alongside the Avengers, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and even the X-Men. In more recent comics, he became part of the Avengers roster. The MCU could easily expand his role beyond just vampire hunting, placing him at the center of a supernatural alliance. Rumors of a Midnight Suns team, Blade, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, and others, are not confirmed, but the groundwork is already there. Now let's address a big myth, that Blade is an antihero with no moral code. The reality is Blade has one of the strongest moral codes in Marvel. Despite his vampire side, he's dedicated his life to protecting humanity from supernatural threats. He doesn't hunt for sport, and he doesn't kill innocents. His mission is about justice, not revenge. This is what sets him apart from villains like Dracula or Morbius. Another myth is that Blade is overshadowed by bigger Marvel heroes. In fact, Blade has often led storylines and carried entire arcs on his shoulders. His unique blend of horror, action, and supernatural drama gives him a place no other hero can fill. Marvel has confirmed they want to expand into new genres, and Blade is key to that evolution. When it comes to the MCU adaptation, one fact is clear: Marvel will likely adjust parts of his story to fit into the shared universe. His origin may be streamlined, and his enemies may tie into broader MCU storylines. Some fans worry this will water down his character. But if the myth is that Blade cannot coexist in the MCU, the fact is he already has. His voice cameo in Eternals proves he's real, present, and soon to be unleashed. In conclusion, Blade is not just a vampire hunter. He is the bridge between humanity and the supernatural. The myths that he's a full vampire, that he's unstoppable, or that he's just a loner don't hold up. The facts show he is a hybrid warrior, burdened with hunger, armed with science and skill, and destined to play a major role in Marvel's future. So as we await Blade's official arrival, we must separate the myths from the facts. He is not a simple slayer of the undead. He is the Daywalker, a symbol of humanity's fight against the darkness, and perhaps one of the most important keys to unlocking the MCU's next great chapter.